What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Assback Sports. This is going to be episode, five,
You
four?
had to think about it. We
Yeah, I
ain't
had
even
to
done
think
that
about
many
it.
yet.
I know, man. Hey, I'm tired, man. I've been working too much.
I'm
The
tired
fifth
too,
episode.
man.
The fifth episode, man. I don't know. I wrote down the fourth for some reason, but yeah. Welcome to the fifth episode of Assback Sports. Here we're breaking down every team in draft order. So this is the fifth pick. Jacksonville Jaguars. If you haven't been here before, we kind of start off with the cap space and draft order, how many draft picks they have. Then we kind of just go over the head coach. We go over the other coaches. We go over some important players on the team. We delve into maybe some free agents that you guys will see in the off season. And then we get into the draft, do a little bit on that since it's so early. And then we just kind of wrap up with a couple players on the team that we think should get their ass back to the bench or get their ass back to the field. So just diving right into it, kind of like we always do. I'm the commish, and we got G over here. We're going to start with the cap space and draft picks for the Jaguars. So they actually have a decent amount of cap space here. They have $32.6 million per sport track. It's pretty solid. I mean, it gives them I think it's like the 15th most, or I'm sorry, 17th most. Yeah, 17th
right in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, which is pretty solid for the fifth overall pick.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes those teams can be a little like top heavy in their contracts, and I mean, Trevor Lawrence takes up a big portion of that too. And we'll talk about him later on for sure. But they only have 22 million in dead cap space, good for in the league, so not too much dead cap either, which is always a good thing. You don't want dead cap just sitting out there paying players that you haven't even or that you don't have on your team. Yeah, so pretty solid there. How many draft picks they got? They got 10 draft picks, obviously the fifth overall. How many picks do they have? Okay, yeah.
2 third rounders, 2 fourth rounders, and 2 sixth round picks, which is actually, they got a fair amount of picks.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, and especially having those 2 third rounders and 2 fourth rounders, I mean, you can definitely find some good players right there. I think those are the picks you want.
Get some good players in the get go, and then you can get some depth and maybe some pieces to build on too. So
yeah, I'd like to have obviously, yeah, for real. And I mean, obviously, picking fifth overall, this team definitely has some needs. There's good players, and just as we've kind of seen on these last few episodes, there's good players all around the team, but it's just kind of few and far between with these teams at the top here. We'll get into the players of note, the players that are kind of the leaders of the team, led the team in passing and rushing and receiving, stuff like that. And we'll mention, other players along the way here. But I mean, there's been some big changes in the Jaguars this offseason already. I mean, starting out the end of the season, they fired their head coach, they fired Doug Peterson, they fired their GM. So they're really going over like a whole revamp of this team. And I mean, they needed it. When you have first overall pick for a couple years.
Yeah, I mean, they should have been I feel like they should have been a lot better than what they were. They really did not live up to expectations.
No. And I mean...
And it probably has a lot to do with coaching, because, I mean, they got some good pieces.
Yeah, and I mean, I really liked Doug Peterson, too, when he first got there. Like, I was like, that's a good hire. He's an established coach. He won a Super Bowl. He's good with quarterbacks. He's just, he's a little younger. He's a little bit more innovative, stuff like that. So I thought it was going to be a good hire, and he just kind of flamed out. I don't know. Something went wrong there, and they moved on, from their GM, Trent Baalke, who... I'm sure not a lot of Jacksonville Jaguar fans liked. I mean, he's been around for a long time in the league, and that's not a bad thing, not a good thing. I don't know. He's been kind of maligned wherever he's been. It hasn't been great. It hasn't been terrible, but it hasn't been great. So they replaced him, and I like this new GM. I mean, why don't you break it down a little bit for us, G? Let me know what this new GM. He just got hired.
Yeah, James Gladstone. Is that how you say it? That's right.
Yeah, James Gladstone.
Yeah, just hired 221. Former LA Rams director, scouting strategy. He's 34 years old, which is actually very young.
That's crazy.
Young. Like, okay, we'll see what he's.
I saw something that he was the youngest of all the candidates they interviewed. Really? He ended up getting the job. How crazy is that?
Well, but how many 34-year-old GMs are there? There's not many. There can't be.
Well, the Browns have the youngest GM. Andrew Berry was only 32 when he got hired in 2022, so he's 36 now. So he is older.
Look where that
but
got them.
yeah, he's made some mistakes, but I mean that makes yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, super young. I mean, what he came from the Rams?
He came from the Rams 2016. Yes, as a senior assistant to GM Les Snead. So he's actually had some good training then. I mean, to be an assistant for their GM, I mean, he's been there, seen that. It's not like he's just coming from another job of, maybe of scouting players and, stuff like that. So that's a good. He was promoted to senior assistant to the GM/player personnel coordinator in 2018. And then the team's director of scouting strategy in 2019. He has history with head coach with time with the Rams. So, I mean, to be 34, he got a decent resume.
He's got a great resume. I mean, shoot, man. The
Rams have been good.
Yeah, and they haven't had a first-round pick in so long. And it's like you guys have been able to like build this team without a first-round pick. That's pretty hard to do.
Yeah. Well, they made the trade, but
yeah, I mean, they've traded him away and they've gotten other players. But I mean, that still says a lot about that team. If you can build a team without as many draft picks as normal, especially a first-round pick, and they've hit on their first-round picks. He helped draft Jared Goff. He helped draft Jared Verse. I mean, there's been a lot of good draft picks that have came through with this guy kind of helping lead the way. I mean, I know the Rams GM Les Snead was kind of, he was the GM obviously, so he made most of it, but. Yeah. Still, the fact that he was the senior assistant and the director of scouting strategy for a few years and they've drafted good players, that says a lot about him. I like it.
Yeah, I do too. Why not? Why not? Some new face. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't,
Yeah, and I mean,
but like I said, he's got the experience, so yeah. I think he'll be okay.
Definitely. It looks like you guys are in good hands. Let us know what you guys think. Let us know what you guys think, Jacksonville fans. Do you like this hire? Do you hate this hire because he's too young? Or is that the reason that you're optimistic for it? I mean, I think a big part of it was that he, like you said, he had history with their new head coach, Liam Cohen, from their time with the Rams together. So maybe that was a reason for it. So, sometimes that's not a good thing. Sometimes it doesn't hurt. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be an issue, though.
It's a good setup for a young GM, though. Like the team, like it's not like you got to rebuild. You're not in rebuild mode. You're not in panic mode. You're just supposed to be better than what you were. And there's a lot of players in play. So I don't think it's not like it's a really hard job right now. So I think it's a good, it's a good starting point for somebody who's young.
Yeah, definitely. And I think having that previous experience with the head coach too will really help them be able to work together and build a team that they both like. Yeah, exactly. And they can be on the same page. I mean, that's so vital for head coaches and GMs to get, each individually having those guys on your team and being on the same page that you're on with everybody else. It just makes it so much easier. So let's get into the head coach a little bit more here. Yeah. Liam Cohen, Duval. I don't know if you guys all saw his introductory press conference when he did his first Duval, but it was kind of like a question. He kind of Duval, he didn't really know what to say. It was kind of funky there. So, hopefully that's not a bad sign. He seems kind of like a interesting dude. He has kind of he's a little awkward, honestly, I think, just from what I've seen. So it'll be interesting to see how he converses with people.
Yeah, but look at like Harbaugh, man.
Yeah.
He's Jim Harbaugh's like that. He's awkward.
Yeah, both the Harbaughs.
Guys love him.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. I like that spin on there a little bit. I wasn't thinking that way, but you definitely make a good point. They are a little strange.
Yeah, they always got some weird stuff.
Definitely. Yeah. So okay, I like that.
I mean John's like that too, but Jim Harbaugh's a whole lot. He's a lot more awkward. It's funny.
They're just goofballs, dude, and I love it. They lean into it. Yeah. And so maybe Liam will do that. Maybe he'll lean into being kind of a goofy dude. Yeah, who knows? Maybe it will work. Hopefully it will work for you guys. You've been through a bunch of head coaches in the last few years, so we'll see. Yeah, and I like this hire. I mean, he was only the offensive coordinator for Tampa Bay for 1 year, but in that year they were the Buccaneers were the first team in NFL history to complete 70% of their passes and average over 5 yards a carry rushing. for the entire season. That's crazy. I mean, I don't know if that speaks more to the players or if it speaks, he had to kind of come up with the ways to get them there. So that's a big part of it.
It ain't hard to get Mike Evans and Chris Godwin the ball.
That's true. That is pretty true.
And
the running backs were good too.
Baker Mayfield. Yeah. Irving was like, I think he was like either second. Was it second or first? Might have been first in like yards after contact this year on average.
Yeah. And he has good running backs to work with here too. We'll see those a little bit later on here. Yeah. We'll talk about them, and maybe they add someone new in there too. Both of the running backs are kind of the same thing, but Liam, I think that he'll be good. 5 years coaching in the NFL, 15 years total coaching. So he's relatively young too. So it looks like you guys are kind of going more for a youthful approach here. You want guys that are a little bit younger. Hopefully that works out. Again, he had that history with the Rams with James Gladstone. He was the offensive coordinator for the Rams in 2022 and was an offensive coordinator in the NCAA at Kentucky he wasn't at Kentucky. Maybe it was Kentucky. I don't know. I can't remember where it was, but yeah, he spent some time kind of back and forth in the NCAA and in the NFL.
Yeah.
So I think that will help because having that kind of foot in both places, he's seen how they both work. And, he may have gotten a little bit of scouting done too from that college side. Like he knows kind of what to expect and the different style of play in the NFL and the different style of play in the NCAA. So it's looking good. Jacksonville fans, it's looking really good. I really like that combination of those two and that youth. It's just, sometimes you strike lightning when you get something like this. And if these guys hit, these guys could be GM and head coach for the next 10 years. This could be a really good young pairing, and we can see these guys for a long time. So again, I ask you what you guys think of the GM, but I want to know what you think of all the coaches. I want to know if you guys are excited by this hire or if there was someone else you wanted.
You just happy to see a fresh face.
Yeah.
That might be where you're at. I don't blame you.
Yeah. And getting all these retread, you had I wanted to say Saban. It was not Saban. Who was the head coach before Doug Peterson? Man, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Urban Meyer?
Yeah, Urban Meyer, yeah. So, you got like all these retread coaches, and now you got a fresh one. So sometimes that works. It's worked for us so far. I really like Dave Canales, and he was kind of the same thing. Younger coach, up and coming, and hasn't been a head coach before. So maybe that will work out. He has a lot of work to do, and one of the guys that's going to be helping him is going to be Grant Udinsky, the new offensive coordinator. Again, just hired. Yep. He's been in the NFL for a few years.
Yeah, but he ain't been in there but so long. He doesn't have a bunch of experience either.
How old is he?
For 6 years. So I don't know how old he is. You have to look that up. But he's been coaching the NFL for 6 years. Spent the last 3 coaching Vikings as assistant OC and quarterbacks coach. He did a great job with Sam Darnold.
Yeah, absolutely. If that's where if that's what he's coming from, Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. He's kind of underperformed from what we thought he was going to be. He was billed as this next great quarterback coming in the league, and he's been okay.
But he ain't had the structure that he's needed either.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like you got to, and they ain't had good coaching. Let's be honest.
And Grant, this guy, he is 29 years old. That don't make you feel old, or at least me. Man, that makes me feel real old. This guy's an offensive coordinator. He's 29. What am I doing with my life?
Yeah, he's
good for this guy.
Yeah, I'm older.
Good for this guy. Good for you, Grant. But yeah, like you said, he hasn't had a lot of experience, but 6 years in the NFL at 29. So what? He started coaching in the NFL at 23. That's crazy.
That's nuts.
That's crazy.
He moved his way up real quick.
Oh yeah, dude. So spent the last 3 years as the Vikings, like you said, the assistant OC and quarterback coach. Yeah, so
that's what I'm saying. He did a good job with Sam Darnold.
Yeah, so
he might be something special. Hell, that might be your head coach the next 3 years.
Yeah, he might. He'll be gone probably pretty quick if this works out.
Yeah. He could be like a Benedict Johnson.
He could be like Benedict Johnson. It's interesting. We go through all these teams and we're talking about like the GMs and everything, and a lot of them come back to Carolina, oddly enough. He entered the NFL ranks as a coaching assistant with the Panthers from 2020 to 2021. Cool. Awesome. I like it. That's interesting, just coming in the league like that.
I don't
And
know.
yeah, I mean, I think, like we said, like this young whole staff that you have here is really just interesting and hopeful. It gives you guys a different look. It's different for sure. It's absolutely different. And
you got young minds, the game's changing. It might be a good thing. Or it could blow up in your face. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
But I mean, like, whatever. I mean, they're going young. They got a young GM. He's bringing in people like him. He's bringing them in, closer to age to him, same kind of experience, and they're going to give it a run, see what happens. I mean, what's the worst that happened?
Well, I mean,
I think you can do better than you did last year.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, being ranked 25th in yards per game and 26th in points per game, Grant's got a lot of work ahead of him. And
there's been a lot of good players, or a lot of good things that have come out of the Rams too. Like the Rams organization's good.
Oh yeah, that tree from McVay and all the people in that kind of organization going other places has really been good. But yeah, I mean, going from the 25th and 26th ranked offense, it's going to be an uphill battle, but I think that you guys are in good hands so far. I mean, we're going over these guys and I'm just like impressed. Young, and they're just like, yeah. So, I mean, I think that you have a lot to be hopeful for. Again, let me know what you think about the offensive coordinator, guys. I want to know what you think. If you think he's going to be good, if you think he's going to be trash, if you like this hire, if you think he's too young. I can see it.
One thing I could say is it might be a little bit of like a learning curve for everybody. You know what I mean? Like it might take a little bit of time, so there might need to be some patience. But I don't really know how patient Jaguars fans want to be because they probably feel like they should be in playoff contentions already by now. I mean, they should be moving in that direction and they probably should have been in the playoffs already.
Yeah. I mean, I had really high hopes for Trevor Lawrence this year. After last season with Doug Peterson, he looked really good. He looked like he was finally kind of turning that corner. And I mean, obviously they thought he looked good too. They gave him that big contract extension. So, I think that you guys need to have patience, and I think that it will really pay off. I
understand if you ain't got patience.
Yeah, I understand. I think we've all kind of been there at some point in our franchises. Most NFL teams kind of get to this point where it's like, if you just have patience and we don't have patience most of the time, but then, in a couple of years, maybe you're going to look back and be like, man, I really should have had patience because this worked out. Hopefully you can see that in a couple of years and these guys will have kind of solidified everything. I think that, like you said, I think it's going to be a learning curve. I think that the first half of the season has potential to be rough. Just because you're learning new things. It's a new head coach, so it's new for everybody, all the players. New offensive coordinator, new head coach, new defensive coordinator, new players, new GM. Yeah. It's a whole new feeling around here. So it will be really interesting.
Well, we can keep talking about this learning curve here because defensive coordinator, he's young too. He's got 6 years in the NFL too.
Yeah, and Anthony Campanelli is his name, and he spent 2024 as the linebacker coach and run game coordinator for the Packers.
For Green Bay.
Yeah. So, I mean, how old is he? He's a little older. He's 42. So he just got into the coaching game later. So, but still not too young, not too old.
6th season in the NFL though. So
yeah. So he hasn't been in the NFL for very long. He's still learning. Yeah. This is his first season as a D coordinator. He was also the linebacker coach.
I do like that he was a linebacker and run game coordinator because he's going to be able to help on both sides of the football, especially with, this newer, younger crew. So,
well, and having that kind of background in both sides, like really helps the defense too, because if he's coordinating the run on the offense, like he can kind of break that down on the defensive side. So he might see it with like a little bit of a different eye than the normal D coordinator that only works on defense. I've actually been hearing that a lot lately, that like defensive coordinators having a little bit of background in offense. Like if you look at some of these head coaches that were in this league, a lot of them actually did spend a lot of time on multiple sides of the ball. Mike Tomlin is kind of my favorite one to go to on that stuff. He was a special teams coordinator actually before he became the head coach. And he was also like an offensive assistant. He was a defensive assistant. He was just all over the place with different positions. So it was like, having that good background, I think, can really help solidify it. And he has a lot of work in front of him. Their defense was first in yards per game and 28th in points per game. So,
bottom of the league.
I mean, oddly enough, your offense guys like really kind of kept like these last couple teams we've gone over. We always like see this one trend, like one side of the ball is way better than the other side of the ball and is more solid. Most of the time it's the defense, because like we've talked about this before, is the defense kind of seems a little easier to get to a even level, to get to a level where they're not that, but offense seems to be a little harder to sustain that. But the offense on the Jags is kind of what made you guys, I mean, the 5th overall pick better than being the 1st overall pick, which is where you would have been if you went on the defensive rankings. The offense, I mean, there's pieces there, just like G was saying, like you guys have Trevor Lawrence, you have Travis Etienne, you have Tank Bigsby, you have Brian Thomas Jr. And again, we're going to go over these guys later, but like there's a lot of pieces in place on this offense, and there's a few pieces on defense too. Like it's not really as bad as it seems. And I'm sure that Jacksonville Jaguar fans, like you guys are like, oh man, like we're bad. We picked 1st overall back-to-back years, and now we're picking 5th overall just a couple years later. I mean, and that's pretty bad. But like G was saying earlier, it's like the organization has been the issue. The GM hasn't been good. The coaches haven't been good. Trevor Lawrence having to go through now his 3rd offensive coordinator in his NFL career.
You need structure, especially for them young quarterbacks.
Yeah. And so hopefully these guys stick, and hopefully this is kind of a turning point for Trevor Lawrence's career, because you guys paid him a lot of money. So, it'd probably be best to, him do good. So keep these guys around, let them stay here, let them really work and develop a team here, and to develop their strategy and to develop these players within all of that, because it takes a few years. It takes time for these players to really like integrate into the system. So I really hope that your owner is patient. Just like you guys need to be patient, he needs to be patient more than you guys need to be patient. You guys don't have much, anything invested into this team besides being a fan. This guy has millions and millions of dollars. Oh, I know it's a lot.
That's a lot, okay? I mean,
absolutely.
During football season, Sundays, if you lose that game, it ruins your week.
Oh, yeah, trust me, man. I know. But I'm just saying, like, he's got millions of dollars, and these guys, like, you would think that they have more invested into it, but they just, like, fire these coaches after a year. So, like, he literally has millions of dollars invested into it. So I hope that he's just, like, content with keeping him and not paying someone millions of dollars that's not on the team anymore, because that's just what happens. He's still paying Urban Meyer. He's still paying Doug Peterson. And now he's paying another coach. So, I hope that he's patient, just like you guys need to be. One coach that he hasn't gotten rid of, or that no one has gotten rid of on the Jags for a few years at least, is their special teams coordinator. Old Heath. Heath Farwell, man. I mean, he's entering his 4th season as the Jacksonville special teams coordinator and his 10th season in the NFL. So he's kind of the elder statesman among these guys.
He's the veteran.
Yeah. And I mean, that, like I said, I think like special teams coordinators don't get like the fanfare that they deserve. They're integral to this team. They have to know everything on every aspect of the offense, on the defense, the special teams, everything. And this guy's been good. They've had a Pro Bowler in each of his previous seasons, and that's hard to do on special teams besides a kicker and a punter, and having a kicker, a punter, a long snapper, a special teams player, that's great. And again, Carolina keeps popping up, man. He was with Carolina.
Here we go.
He was in Carolina in 2018. I mean, only one season.
Came from the dumpster fire.
Whoa. Okay. That's harsh.
It was a dumpster fire.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, 2018 was kind of a weird time for us. So the fact that he's gone. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
That was like the worst, that was the coaching issues and all that.
Yeah.
It was not good. That's probably why most of them left from the Panthers at that point.
Yeah, probably. And
I got to get out of here.
He was with Buffalo after that from 2019 to 2021. Carolina North, like we like to call it in our Panthers fan pages here, because they have all the former Carolina players. So he did the same thing. He went from Carolina to Buffalo, and now he's the special teams coordinator in Jacksonville. And he's done great. I mean, you guys were ranked 5th in special teams by Pro Football Focus last year. That's great. A bright spot.
Well, that's why he's still there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you rank 5th. Why would you fire him? So a little bit of stability there. I like it. I think he'll be a good steadying hand there. Only time will tell, of course. So, again, let us know what you guys think. Did you guys like all these coaches? Do you like keeping Heath, or did you want a new? I mean, special teams coordinator isn't something I think most fans really talk about. Like, oh man, I hate our special teams coordinator, unless it's really, really bad.
Yeah, you don't really hear that.
Yeah. So, I'd still be curious to see what you guys think. Should they have just cleaned the whole staff out and gone with a new special teams coordinator, or are you guys cool with keeping Heath and keeping that 5th ranked special teams hopefully a little bit better? That'd be great.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to keep him.
Yeah, I think so too, especially with his experience.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see where it hurts any.
Yeah,
I mean, he performed last year when nobody else did, so
100%.
Hey, and he's got 3 years of performance, so
yeah. So kind of finishing. Yeah, I agree. I think keeping him it's great. A little bit of continuity, keeping familiar faces around. They'll be good for everybody.
Yeah.
And to kind of finish up the coaching section, we always like to go over the turnover differential. They were 29th with a negative 15 turnover differential. Only 9 takeaways. It's not very good. Just like we said, the defense is kind of the problem here.
Yeah, I mean, that's not good.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Kirby Joseph alone had, 9 himself. So
yeah, that's pretty bad. I mean, and honestly, if you bump those numbers up a little bit, the turnover differential is way better, even if you just add a couple more turnovers there, because they didn't really have that many giveaways. 15 interceptions, 9 fumbles. Yeah, but
9 fumbles is a lot.
9 fumbles.
Fumbling, I don't like fumbling. You shouldn't have fumbles.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, that's got to be fixed. Because, I mean, you can fumble. Don't get me wrong. Every now and then, somebody tackles you and punches that ball out just right. You're gonna lose a couple. All right, 3 or 4 on the year. I don't even like to see that, but if you got 3 or 4, okay. When you got 9, that's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah, I don't know who's fumbling, but they need to hold. I think Travis Etienne had a couple of them, didn't he?
It looks like Travis Etienne only had 1. Actually, it was Tank Bigsby. Okay. He had 3.
Bigsby?
Yeah, Bigsby he had 3. He only lost 1 though, so.
That doesn't matter. You can't put the ball on the ground.
Yeah,
a fumble's a fumble. Whether you recover it or you don't, it's yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Well, he needs to work on that.
Yeah, he definitely needs to work on that. But yeah, so but a little bit of improvement here can go a long way. You improve that turnover differential just by getting a few more takeaways, a couple less giveaways. I think that you can really turn that around pretty quickly. I don't think it'd be that hard.
No, I mean, just not dropping the fumbles.
Yeah,
save you right there. I mean, just knock that number down to 3.
Yeah, get that number down real quick, and I think that can turn everything around. And yeah, it's looking good. You guys got good coaches in place. I like everybody. I think that there's a lot of positivity to have in this, and they can help the next thing we're going to go into here. The players of note, the players on this team that were here, that have been here, that led the team in the various categories. Let's start off the top. I mean, let's go the
favorite or maybe not your favorite. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure how y'all feel about this right now.
Yeah,
Trevor Lawrence.
T-Law. The
he led the team in passing, obviously.
Yeah.
He had 2,045 yards, which isn't that much. With a 60.6% completion percentage, 11 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 18 sacks.
Not bad. I don't think that's too bad. He only played in 10 games.
I guess you're right, but
that's almost 2 sacks a game, though. I guess that is a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, O-line might need some help. But anyways, and passer rating of 85.2, which is okay.
Not bad. Yeah, solid.
Yeah, only missed 1 game before this year. First overall pick. Obviously, y'all already know that.
Yeah.
And he just signed a 5-year deal for $275 million. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. And
I I just want y'all to know I really appreciate Jared Goff.
Yeah, I really appreciate Bryce Young being on his rookie contract still.
Yeah. That won't be too. That's not. You ain't got much longer. That you got like 2 more years.
Yeah, I know, but still, 270. Let us know how you guys feel about that. I mean, that alone is just crazy. Yeah, I mean, he was the highest paid player in the NFL for a little bit until Dak. I think before Dak, he was the highest paid player in the league. So that's rough. I mean, it's not like he's looked like a total dumpster, but being the first overall pick, coming into the NFL with the pedigree that he had, supposed to be the next great thing that we've seen at quarterback. And he hasn't lived up to that. But at the same time, I hate that next great quarterback thing. I hate talking about how the quarterbacks are going to be the next Tom Brady, the next Hall of Famer. We don't know what these guys are going to be. And every single year, there's always that one guy. It was Trevor Lawrence. This year, it was Caleb Williams. And I'm sure next year it's going to be Arch. This year, there's not like a can't miss prospect that I've really heard of at quarterback, at least, but it just comes out so often that this is the generational player. He's the best we've seen in 30 years, but you said that last year. So I don't know, maybe the expectations were put a little high.
He's still the 4th highest paid.
That's insane. What's insane is players.
We just signed Jared Goff last year, and he is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He is 6th highest. And he's making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence got to step it up.
Well, and Trevor Lawrence, he only takes up 6.18% of the cap for them. Only $17 million cap hit. So it looks like a lot of that money is kind of going in a bonus, which is cool. Let's see.
Because he might get real expensive at the end.
Oh, yeah. They backloaded it hard. So, yeah, $17 million this year. Then that goes up to $24 million next year. 35 the next year, 47 the next year, and in the last year, $78 million.
Yeah, but there's a potential out right there.
Yeah, a potential out after the 2029 or in the 2029 season before that $78 million hits. Oh man, I mean, and that's when all of the guaranteed money's out. So you're paying him pretty much all his guaranteed money right away, which I think is a good idea because. If this doesn't work out at the end of the 28 season, he's going to be 29. You can just cut him and you're not going to lose anything. You're not going to take dead cap hit. You can kind of just get rid of him. So
his base salary in 2029 is $50 million.
That's crazy.
I mean, but that's smart because they got a potential out. They could cut him in 2028 if he's not doing what he's supposed to do or restructure.
Yeah.
You restructure there or do another extension and you don't pay that. I mean, because good God, they can't. I'm not paying the $50 million. That's 21.78% of their cap space. Not happening.
Yeah, I mean, 142 million was guaranteed at signing. An additional 12 million of his 2027 salary is fully guaranteed on the 5th day. Yeah, I mean, full no trade clause, and he's got some incentives here too. But yeah, man, that's crazy. That's a big contract. So yeah, let us know what you think of Trevor Lawrence there. If you think that this was the stupidest decision that the franchise has made in years, or if you think this is a good idea, which I'm sure there will be very few of you. But let us know what you think. And getting on to kind of go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say I don't know that it's like a terrible decision. I mean, it's not a Deshaun Watson decision.
Yeah,
you're not the worst, but it's not the best. But it's kind of in the middle. You know what I mean?
Well, he's only going to be 26 too. So, and with all the changes and everything that has gone on, like you definitely don't really know what you have in Trevor. So it could be worse. You could not have a quarterback. And that's why you paid him, because overpaying a quarterback and paying him all this money right away, like you're going to get rid of all that money quickly. So if you really need to move on from him, like say he's just dog shit this next year, you can move on quick. It wouldn't be the hardest thing in the world.
No, it wouldn't be. Yeah, you can cut him and all that.
Yeah.
But
so
all right, enough about the quarterbacks. Let's talk about
the quarterback.
Let's talk about the running backs. They got 2 of them, right?
They do have 2 of them. Tank Bigsby led the team in rushing yards at 766 yards, good for 4.6 yards a carry, which is pretty good. I mean, that's
good.
4.6 yards is great. That's technically,
Yeah,
you give the ball to him twice, you're pretty much at a first down. So
that's awesome.
I'm pretty sure that he outrushed Travis Etienne last year too. And that's just crazy. I mean, he was I think he was a 4th round pick, and he's really just kind of just done better than Travis Etienne. He was a 3rd round pick. So yeah, he led the team. He added another 7 touchdowns. Again, we talked about this, 3 fumbles, putting the ball on the ground, dude. Got to stop. Played in 16 games. So really, I mean, pretty solid overall. His PFF grade didn't really grade out awesome. 68.1, 34th out of 47 running backs. But again, sometimes the PFF grades are kind of weird, especially with these teams splitting running backs most of the time. I think it's kind of hard.
Some are
I think
good,
it skews that.
some are not.
Yeah. But he's definitely looked good. He catches the ball well too. Let's see, where are his yards for receiving? Okay, maybe I was wrong. Only 54 yards receiving, so he needs to get those numbers up. And that's where Travis Etienne really takes over. Travis Etienne had 254 yards. So there's a big difference there. Maybe they're a pretty good 1-2 punch for each other, but I don't think it's a very strong 1-2 punch. They don't really put fear in anything, and we'll see. I mean, pretty solid for the most part. You can't really complain too much about either of these guys. They're not great, but it could be so much worse. I know they brought in Travis Etienne when he got drafted because he was teammates with Trevor Lawrence. So it's kind of like, how long is that going to be good for? Because, I mean, like I said, he was 2nd on the team at 558 yards rushing. So it's not like he was bad. 3.7 yards a carry. Pretty solid. Not great. Not terrible.
It's okay. I mean, let's see. I was looking that up. So let's see. Bigsby was ranked 16th in the NFL for yards per carry. Now, that's also counting quarterbacks. So, you got your Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Derrick Henry. And then,
So, I mean, that's pretty good, though. If you really include all those guys, 16th in the NFL is pretty solid.
Yeah, it's not bad.
What is Travis?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I gotta pay to see it, man.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, no worries.
I can probably do it on ESPN.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, 3.7, he's probably a good bit down there. On PFF, he ranked 60.7, good for 44th out of 47. So pretty bad, by a Pro Football Focus ranking. Maybe Travis is the one that needs to go. I mean, he catches the ball well. Like I said, he added 250 yards receiving. So total yard wise, they had almost the exact same. So, I mean, I can't really complain too much about it. I'll be curious to see how Liam Cohen really uses these guys, because he had 2 good running backs in Tampa Bay and he really got the most out of them. I mean, they averaged 5 yards per carry as a team. That's pretty impressive. So, maybe he can turn these guys around. Maybe he can really make these guys a 1-2 punch that can really kind of complement each other better and can improve this offense even more. Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst place to be in. You got 2 solid running backs, maybe not amazing, but 2 solid running backs is a good place to be. And it'll be really interesting to see how they do this next season with Liam Cohen now taking over the reins. And the brightest spot on offense, though, let's be real, is this next guy here. I mean, bright spot because he was blazing fast, bright spot because he was the team's leading receiver as a rookie. And Jacksonville, you guys already know who I'm talking about here, Brian Thomas Jr. I mean, I don't think that anyone really expected him to be as good as he was. He was just kind of known as this burner guy, and, he's going to take the top off the defense, sure, but, we'll see what really happens. Man, it really happened. He put it together, man. I mean, his rookie year, he going for 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns, no fumbles. Sign me up. I'm sure that he's going to be a jersey you guys see a lot if you don't already have one, because I'll tell you what, if I had a receiver like that was a rookie, I want that jersey, because that's great. I mean,
yes,
Jaden Daniels wasn't as good as he was and won offensive rookie of the year. Brian Thomas is right there in that conversation. I mean, 1,200 yards, what is that in the NFL? That's got to be up there.
It's okay. Yeah, I mean, it's up there. It's not.
Let me see. He's got to be like top 10, top 15. Receiving yards.
Hold on, I'll figure it out.
He was 3rd in the NFL. 3rd as a rookie.
He was. Yeah, right behind Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase.
And 5th in receiving touchdowns. I mean, amazing. just straight up awesome. Like this guy can really be good for you guys. Can be amazing.
He's gonna be awesome. Yeah, he's gonna be awesome.
And again,
and he kind of slid under the radar a little bit, Malik Neighbors got more attention.
Absolutely.
And he actually had less yards, but not by much. But yeah, but he's definitely a bright spot. And that's what you needed for that quarterback too. So, once they get on the same page. Sorry guys. Well, been working too much. But yeah. I mean, and they'll develop a continuity too.
Definitely. And I mean, happen. Christian Kirk's there too. And I mean, he didn't have an amazing year. Let me see here. His receiving grade was a 68.2. So it's not like he was great. His overall grade was 67.9, good for 62nd out of 98 receivers. And he only had 379 yards. I'm pretty sure I don't think he only played in 8 games, so he was hurt. Okay. So, I mean, that's,
that's not terrible then, because,
Yeah. So,
but those are like
games.
Those are like third wide out numbers, I mean, obviously 8 games, so you can't really count that, but, like, that's what it's at.
Yeah, I mean, he also had
an 82. So,
yeah.
And
I mean, and you also had Brenton Strange. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. 4. Exactly.
83.4.
Yeah, the dude looks great. And so, hopefully you guys can bring in someone else there to kind of really complement Brian Thomas. I mean, he's good, but he can't do it all himself, especially as he's such a young player. I mean, your second leading receiver was Brenton Strange, 411 yards. That's 800 yards less.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Those are third string numbers right there.
I mean, that was the tight end, but yeah.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, third string.
Yeah, in all 17 games, too, he averaged 24 yards a game. The second leading wide receiver was Parker Washington, and he averaged 22 yards a game. I mean, you guys got to get someone else in there. There's no way that these guys can do this on their own. Gabe Davis was a free agent signing that just totally didn't work out. We thought that he was going to be good. Nothing there.
No, terrible.
Josh Reynolds, just kick returner kind of. I know you're familiar with him.
Josh Reynolds? No, dude, he should have been the number 3, but he got shot.
Oh, that's right.
So he got shot. That's what happens when you leave Detroit, man. You go out and you get in trouble. Keep a tight ship.
Guess.
But he wanted more money. And clearly he didn't need more money because he's out there getting shot at.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe he'll come in and he'll help out with that. Maybe once Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram come back for a full season, and Gabe Davis maybe has another season in there. Evan Ingram? Nah, they re-signed to it.
No. I'm talking about Josh Reynolds.
I mean, that's I can tell.
I'm pretty sure they did.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, not really the player you want to keep around for the most part.
No, exactly. Anything on that. I mean, but Ingram will be good.
Yeah. There's some guys there, but I think it would probably be a good idea to get new receivers in there and bring someone else in that can really take it. Yeah, Josh Reynolds he'll be a free agent next year. So he signed a 2-year contract in 2024. At least I don't see anything about them cutting him. It's possible. But so you need to get another receiver in there, someone else that can really help to be a number 2 even, because Brian Thomas got that number 1 spot locked down so far. So bring someone that can really help out, and I think that can help out the offense a lot. But enough about the offense. Let's get into the defense, because this is really where you guys kind of struggled. Who led the team in tackles?
He was cut from the Broncos.
Reynolds.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's probably is with the Titans.
Josh Reynolds?
I'm sorry.
With the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jaguars, yeah.
Well, yeah, and so
yeah, that's what it is. Anyway, sorry.
Okay. No, you're good. Yeah, definitely a good way to wrap that up. And then now with the defense is Devin Lloyd. He led the team in tackles. He had 113 tackles, 2 sacks, 7 tackles for a loss, 4 passes deflected, an interception, and a forced fumble. He was all over the place. Great piece on defense. As bad as your defense was, there is pieces there, and honestly, the pieces that are there are really good pieces. I really like some of these guys here, like Devin Lloyd, all over the place with tackles, sacks, tackles for a loss, passes deflected, interceptions, forced fumble. He's doing everything. Graded out at a 76.7 PFF grade, 24th out of 189. Fantastic.
Yeah, awesome. And a really good, I mean, he did great on both sides, run, defense, and pass rush. So, I mean, he's all around.
Yeah, that's awesome. You need players like that.
Yeah, that's a solid linebacker.
I'm sorry, man. I'm tired too. Yeah, I mean, drafted in 2022, 27th overall. Great pick. I mean, he's really, I mean, at this point, there's nothing else you can say about that. And again, as bad as the defense was, like these linebackers are pretty good. I'm totally going to butcher this name, but Foyesade Olukun. He's listed as the interception leader on ESPN for the team, but you had 6 players that were tied with the lead because no one had more than 1 interception, which is part of the reason that we talked about that turnover differential. It was just bad.
Yeah, that's not good.
But he added 108 tackles. He added 1 sack, 6 tackles for a loss. He was drafted in 2018 in the 6th round. You got a 6th rounder that's doing this kind of stuff. That's pretty solid. I mean, and his stats kind of speak for themselves. You had 2 linebackers that had 100 tackles, and they both had over 5 tackles for a loss. That's pretty great. I mean, you want your linebackers to get tackles for a loss. You want them to get tackles. That's what we like to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we got Trayvon Walker, led the team in sacks, 10.5. Also added 61 tackles, which is crazy. That's a lot of tackles. 13 tackles for a loss.
That's awesome.
1 fumble recovery, 2 fumbles forced, and a touchdown. Drafted first overall in 2022. They believe they took him over Aiden Hutchinson. Just had to throw that in there. Thank you. Thank you, Jaguars. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I just want to thank y'all for that. But anyways, I mean, he's a good player. I mean, he's not as good as Aiden Hutchinson, but he's a good player.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's really kind of came into his own. 10 sacks the last 2 years, I think. Yeah, second year having at least 10 sacks. That's awesome. I mean, his first year wasn't great.
Is phenomenal.
Yeah. His first year, it wasn't amazing, but again, that first year, like they were just kind of going through it, and he's really kind of came into his own. Having 10 sacks in back-to-back years is that's awesome. You got, like I said, there's not a lot on the defense, but the pieces that are there are pieces. Like these guys, Trayvon Walker would be great on any team. I mean, he was the number 1 overall pick for a reason, and he's proving that now. His PFF grade wasn't amazing at 68.2, 67th, but 67th out of 211 DNs. That's pretty good. I think that's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's good. No, I think he's a solid player. So I think he's, and he's going to develop still. He's still young.
Yep, absolutely.
But, another one too, I mean, Josh Hines Allen, dude. You want to talk about, I mean, he's a baller. And he had 9 sacks.
He had 9? That was 8.
No, he had 9, and he was 19th out of 211 edge rushers.
Pretty good.
He had 1 forced fumble and 29 solo tackles. I mean, so like that's them two together, like your defensive line. I mean, your edges are. Yeah, I mean, you're ready. You could use a D tackle, and then you'd be good to go.
Yeah, I mean, they tried, like they got Mason Smith last year in the draft, and they drafted him in the 2nd round, but he's not looking great. I mean, it was only his first year, so he'll come into it, and I know he was pretty highly touted coming out of college, but I mean, his Pro Football Focus grades were just abysmal. Run defense was a 39.7, pass rush grade 52. His coverage grade for some reason was decent, but his overall defensive grade was only a 43.7, good for 105th out of 118. And then your other D tackle, Devon Hamilton, 54.5 defensive grade. His run defense grade was 54.2, 50.6 pass rush grade. I mean, these guys are kind of at the bottom of everything. So yeah, they really need to improve that interior.
Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, get rid of them. They're not even backups.
Yeah, I mean, Mason Smith might be a little bit better. I'm willing to give him kind of a pass because he's young and he was a rookie. And again, that team was just kind of in a weird spot. But Devon Hamilton, I mean, he's been in the league for 4 years, 3rd round pick for you guys. And if he hasn't really done any better now, it's time for you to go, dude. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
there's got to be better
players. At least be good against the run.
Yeah.
I don't know. How much did Mason, I wonder how many snaps Mason Smith played.
Let's see here. So D-line snaps, he had 383.
Yeah, and you have 9 solo tackles? Like, nah, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, out of D linemen, he played 384 snaps, good for 91st. So yeah, not good. I mean,
No,
yeah, just not good. And I mean, the only thing that he ranks like high in is batted passes. He had 3, which is good for 8th in the league, but everything else he's like 40th, 40, 65, 141st on hits. He had 0 hits.
But like you said, you know, he's young, so like he can develop. There's no reason, you know, I mean, there's no reason he can't be better. So I mean, he still could be like you said, you get another D tackle, and I think you're in a good spot on that defensive line. Could be nasty. I'm gonna be honest.
Definitely. Yeah.
You know.
And another player I want to kind of shout out here, we're gonna switch gears a little bit, go back to the offense. They're starting left tackle, Walker Little. You know, left tackle is a hard position to play. There's not very many elite left tackles. There's not even really very many like good to great left tackles, but he was solid. 3rd overall ranking on Pro Football Focus, which sounds bad, but I mean, there's a lot of left tackles in the league because we have injuries and we have guys that kind of move around because they weren't doing good. And so it's a new left tackle. So 31st, I think, is a pretty solid ranking. 72.8 grade. Solid. I mean, it could be a lot worse.
Good. No, I mean, that's good. That's what you want. I mean, I don't think you can really add for like a ton more, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think at tackle, like when you get a guy that's just like solid like this, you're okay with that. I mean, he's huge. He's 6'7", 325. So he's got the length. Let's see. How many sacks did he allow? Only 2. Pretty good. Yeah, he only had 4 penalties. Yeah, so I mean, solid player. There's solid players all around this team. And, you know, you have good players in good positions. You have good DNs. You have a decent left tackle. You need to get a little bit better on the interior of the defensive line. And we'll talk about that coming up here in the free agency and in the draft. We're going to go over those pretty quickly here. But yeah, you know, there's pieces here and you just need to add a couple more. And that's what we're going to get into now. We're going to get into some free agents that might be options. Again, the offensive line needs help on the interior. The defensive line needs help. Cornerbacks, you guys need cornerbacks. You don't really have.
You got to have cornerbacks.
I mean,
let's see. We got
the
Brown.
2 starting corners were 68 and 67. Pretty bad.
Their slot's okay, or their nickel.
I don't even see the nickel.
Jones?
Yeah, it's not coming up for me on my side. Weird.
Oh, no. Go up to the top right, change it to personnel to nickel.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so he had a pass rush grade of 74.7, so he's good against the run. His coverage was 62.8 or 62.5, so his coverage, he lacks in coverage.
But he's one of the best run defenders. I got it pulled up now. 5th.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And he was a rookie.
Yeah, so he can work on that coverage, and he's going to be all right. So you got one piece in there. You just need somebody else to help him out.
Yeah, on the outside. They really just need help on the outside.
Because you literally have the 68th and the 67th on the other side of him. So.
And, I mean, there's Charvarius Ward and Rasul Douglas are 2 that I kind of wrote down here. I think they'd be good additions for you guys. Both pretty solid, both relatively young. And you guys just kind of need solid at this point. We've talked about Charvarius Ward a few times. He's probably going to leave San Francisco just because of what happened in his personal life. He had some tragedy. I'm sure you guys have heard about that, or you can look it up if you need to. We don't need to go over that. But yeah, he's probably going to leave, and he wouldn't be a bad option. You guys have decent cap space. You really need to improve that cornerback position. I mean, with the 5th pick, you could get Will Johnson. There's an option. You know, there's different.
And he's big. He's 6'2".
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good size.
There's opportunity out there. Maybe you get 1 in free agency and you get 1 in the draft. There's always a good cornerback in the draft somewhere. And obviously you guys hit on a nickel corner. You guys just need to hit on an outside corner now. So get one of those guys in there to be a veteran presence. And I'm sure there will be some cuts that come along the way that we see that you might be able to add. But for now, I'm going to just say Charvarius Ward and Rasul Douglas are the 2 that I'm going to look for there. You know, the guard position is somewhere that they definitely need improvement on. And the guard position is just really heavy. I feel like it's top heavy this year. Like, you got Trey Smith from Kansas City, you got Will Fries.
But they're probably not leaving, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like, you know, do you really want to spend money on those guys or to kind of throw money at them and see if it works? Maybe you pick someone up from the Rams or something like that, since your GM came from there. I don't know. I'm sure there will be someone out there to improve that position a little bit. But again, that might be a good spot for the draft. There's good interior offensive linemen all the way into like the 3rd and 4th round every year. Like you can really find someone.
James Daniels interesting to me.
James further free agent?
Yeah, Pittsburgh.
Okay.
He was at Pittsburgh. I mean, he had a 92.9 season grade this year.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and he's 27 too. 27 and a half. So, he's not like, they're saying projected contracts like 1 year, 5.5 million.
Okay.
So, like,
yeah, I mean, it looks like he tore his Achilles though.
Yeah, so what? Take for 5.5 million, go ahead and sign him for a year, prove it deal, and see how he does. You might get him for 2 more years,
Yeah, and he's been in the league for 7 years too. So, like,
he's a veteran.
Experienced. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like that pick. I think that could be a really good one for sure.
Yeah, that'll help him out. Mekhi
that would really
he's
solidify.
Probably going to stay.
Yeah, I can't imagine he leaves.
I don't see him going nowhere.
And then on the other side of the line, we've butchered this guy's name in the last episode, and I have no idea how to pronounce it, but Osa Odighizuwa.
I like hearing you try it. I think I did it last time.
He'd be an option. DJ Hill's an option. Kind of solidifying that middle of that defense is going to be the middle of the defensive line will help you a lot, because that will help the cornerback position too. Your DNs are already good, or your edge, your rushers, whatever you want to call them, they're already good. So just getting someone in the middle there that can stop people from stepping up in the pocket and can stop running backs to make it so that they can't just run all over you, it helps a lot. And maybe you add one in the draft, but again, it might not be a bad idea just to add one in free agency and then add one in the draft. So that way you can go into the draft with the best player available, just kind of falling into your lap and really improving anywhere you need to. Yeah, let's be real. You need to improve everywhere.
And they're in better spots than the majority of the teams we just went over, besides maybe the Patriots.
Yeah. I mean, all these teams are kind of in similar position. They have pieces in place, but they just don't have
bright spots.
They don't have like the lower level. Like the players that are bad are really bad, and the positions that are bad are really bad. Like the cornerback position for the Jags, it's just bad. So
yeah, they need to draft somebody.
Yeah, there's just something that's like, it's a glaring hole on all of these teams, and I think that's why they're in the spot they're in. There's some position that's just really bad and needs to get better. And free agents, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you might be able to get a piece. Might be able to get a veteran too, and then draft one, and just kind of have a veteran presence to help them guys. I mean, it doesn't have to be like a great veteran or a splash. It can be just somebody decent.
I agree for sure. And I mean, with that, let's just get into the draft here. Let's just talk about who they might go get. And for this, I always kind of just do like a quick mock draft just to kind of get an idea of who's available and who I'd like to see, and going in line with kind of what we talked about, who would improve the team a lot. And so for mine, I had them taking Mason Graham, a D lineman out of Michigan.
Mason Graham's going to be, he's going to be great.
He's going to, And I mean, you add him with Josh Hines Allen and Trevon Walker. That's an amazing D line. And that instantly solidifies that defense.
That's going to help your backfield too, like your cornerback. That's going to help them.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's just that position can just really change everything.
Now, if Abdul Carter's still available, you got to take Abdul Carter. But you don't need an edge.
Yeah, but I think you take Abdul Carter, and then you could probably put John, or you could put Walker in the middle there.
Graham there. You could take Mason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but if for some reason he's gone. Yeah.
I like that.
I like Mason Graham. I think again, if the cornerback Mike Johnson is still there, or Will Johnson, I'm sorry, if he's still there, wouldn't be a bad pickup. I think that he'd be good too. Yeah, for the first round, Will Johnson.
Kind of a jump at the 5th pick.
Yeah, but when you need cornerbacks as bad as they do, and you have a chance to draft a 6'2" corner,
you just got to draft best available. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if Mason Graham's there, you go Mason Graham. If Abdul Carter's there, you go Abdul Carter. Highly doubt that Abdul Carter will be there. I think Mason Graham's probably like a realistic pick. Again, Jags fans, let me know what you think. Do you want Mason Graham? Do you want someone else? Do you want Will Johnson? Let me know what you think.
Yeah.
I think Mason Graham would really solidify that defensive line and really make that a solid strength. And that's what you kind of need to start at when you're a bad team and you're picking 5th overall or sooner or a little bit later. I think that when you have a strength, you really just need to go in and you need to dive in and really make that strength a really, really, really big strength. And adding Mason Graham would that D-line would be nasty.
It would be phenomenal. I mean, I mean, there's so many good defenders in this draft too. So like, they really can't go wrong.
Yeah, I think with the 5th pick, your guys are going to have your pick.
Yeah, I think you just take the best available player. I mean, if you want to make a stretch for Will Johnson, you could. But if I was you, if you wanted Will Johnson, then I would trade back probably.
And that is an option for him too. I mean, they already have a lot of picks, but trade back. Why not? Maybe pick up another 2nd, maybe pick up another 3rd. And then at that point, you have picks to kind of play around with too. You can trade those picks to trade up and move back up to get a player that you want to get or something like that too. There's a lot of different ways you can go with that too.
Yes.
And for my 2nd pick, I had Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame to help with the cornerback room. I think that playing on Notre Dame, he went to the national championship. They got there based a lot on their defense. So I think that he'd be a really good pick. I think that he would really, if you go with Roswell Douglas or you go with one of the other free agent, even if it was one that we didn't name, and then you add this guy, having a veteran, having a good nickel that you already drafted as a rookie, and then adding this guy, Benjamin Morrison, really turn that defense around. With these first 2 picks, you can really make that defense a lot better.
Okay. Yeah.
And then for my 3rd pick, I went Cameron Williams. He is a tackle, and they don't necessarily need help as a tackle. I think you draft a good offensive lineman if you can get a good offensive lineman, and I think that if anything, move him to the interior or move one of your other tackles to the interior or something. You need to do something because the offensive line needs to get better on the interior. Maybe he goes to the outside. I know you have Anton Harrison there. He was a 1st-round pick in 2023 as your right tackle, but he hasn't graded out great. So maybe you do just kind of draft this guy and replace your current right tackle with him. I don't know. But I think that he'd be a good addition anyway, because that offensive line needs help and he can help out at probably multiple positions. I haven't done too much research into it. Again, we're so early on in the draft process that we haven't had the combine yet. We haven't had a lot of this stuff. So a lot of this stuff is going to be a little bit more irrelevant as we go on. Williams might end up being a 2nd-round pick. He might end up being a 6th-round pick. But as of now, I think that he could be a good position to step in and help solidify that offensive.
All right. So I did one too.
Okay.
And with I got pretty close, I think, to you. I did take Mason Graham with the 1st round and the 5th pick. I mean, just because, I'm a Michigan fan, so you gotta take him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's great too, so.
Yeah, he's gonna be dominant. I took Siobhan Ravel out of East Carolina.
Okay.
Instead.
What position?
He's cornerback.
Okay. Still corner. Nice. I like it.
I like him because he's 6'3". He's good size.
Heck yeah.
I like big corners. I just think that you gotta have somebody to guard that big receiver. And then in the 3rd round, I took Wyatt Millam.
I like Wyatt Millam.
Yeah, he's awesome. Tackle.
Yeah. I've seen a lot about him, and he's one of the guys that they said would slide into the middle probably. He'll probably be a guard, which is exactly what it is. Cameron Williams, I said the same thing.
I think he has a high high ceiling.
Okay.
I think he might need a little bit of development, but I think he's going to be pretty damn good. So,
all right.
And then I took Trey Harris from Mississippi.
Okay. What position?
Receiver.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, they need to add a body there too. Getting better at receiver is definitely a need.
Yeah. And let's see. There were two receivers available, but I went with the bigger of the two.
Okay.
He's 6'3", 210, so he's got some good size on him.
They need a bigger receiver though. Brian Thomas is a little smaller. Yeah. Christian Kirk's a little smaller.
Yeah, the other one available was like 5'10", out of Ohio. I can't remember his name, but I think you need I think you got a fast guy, so you need somebody that's gonna have good hands and get open. But I mean, he had 1,000 yards this season, 7 touchdowns, average 7.2 yards per catch.
Okay.
60 receptions.
Pretty solid.
Yeah, and he's playing for Ole Miss. You know, I mean, he's playing with a good quarterback.
Yeah, I like that draft.
So yeah, that's what I'm going with. But I think I think you get your quarterback, you get your tackle, you get you a DN, you get a wide receiver. You know, I think you could go round 4. You could probably pick up another wide receiver, just to kind of make some competition in that room.
Well, and you guys play in a really bad division. I mean, the Titans are the number 1 pick, and they're in your division. I know CJ Stroud's there too, which is going to be tough. I mean, really, you guys can turn everything around pretty quickly in this division. Like, you can get out of this. Yeah, he's in the same division. Yeah. So, there's a lot of things to be hopeful for. You guys have decent cap space. You guys have good young coaches that are up and coming that we really like. And yeah, I mean, just like when we go over all these teams, there's optimism everywhere. And Jacksonville, I know that it's probably hard because it's been a long few years. I mean, you guys have kind of had a long time as a franchise. Came in the same year as us, haven't quite had the same success, but hopefully this new young nucleus will really kind of propel you guys into the future and into a solidified spot to where you're not changing head coaches every couple of years. Trevor Lawrence works out. All these guys start to kind of come together and really make a team that's going to be solid, and you can at least make a playoff run. Now, going in the AFC, you have some tough sledding. There's a lot of really good teams in the AFC. So I'm not saying you guys are going to win the Super Bowl. I'm not saying you're not, but there's reason to be optimistic for this, and I think you guys are going to really enjoy having Liam Cohen as your offensive coordinator, as your head coach.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I think you can get some pieces in here. I don't know that you're going to be, I don't know that I'm hoping that y'all can at least make a run at making the playoff.
Yeah.
I just don't think you're going to get there this year.
Yeah, and
unless Trevor Lawrence comes out and plays like everybody thought he was going to play to begin with.
Yeah, now, if he does that, I don't think anyone thinks that we're going to do that, but
but you ain't got the defense. Yeah, so you got to build that, and that might take 2 years. I think in 2 years you guys could be pushing at that door, though.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as long as these picks work out for the GM and the head coach and the offensive coordinator and everything. And I think that, as of now, obviously we have no idea, but as of now, I think that they're in a good position with all those pieces. And that's, at the very least, your base is solid. And that's where really good teams can be built.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of things to be hopeful for here. We're going to get into our Assbacks of the team here. We always do a bad Assback and we always do a good Assback. Our bad Assback is the one that needs to go to the bench, and he needs to get his ass back. I'm going to go with Travis Etienne. I think he needs to get his ass back to the bench because you've been outplayed by your backup 2 years in a row, dude. You were drafted to be like this running mate with Trevor Lawrence, and you haven't really lived up to that. So, sorry, buddy. I think you need to get your ass back.
Yeah, but he ain't fumbling the ball 3 times.
Yeah, but, he's holding on to it, and that's great, but he's had injury issues. Yeah, still, getting outplayed by your backup is not a good look.
Yeah.
Do I think he needs to be cut? No.
No, hell no.
Do I think he needs to? I think he needs to not be the starter this next year. I think they need to name Tank Bigsby the starter because Travis Etienne,
he can get his ass back to the fucking practice facility and we get better.
Yeah. I mean, I think Travis Etienne is a good running back. He catches the ball really well, which is something that Tank Bigsby doesn't do at all. Exactly, they complement each other. So having him on the team is still good, but he needs to get his ass back to the bench and let Tank Bigsby be the starter. Because Tank Bigsby had 4.7 yards a carry, and he catches the ball, or he doesn't catch the ball, but he runs a little bit harder. Let him start the game off. You come in, you give him a break. Everybody will do better. I promise you.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that.
And for my ass
make
back,
him earn his spot back anyway. At worst case scenario.
Yeah, at the very least, he needs to earn that spot back. At the very least, go into training camp with no one named as the starting running back. It's a competition. We're going to see who comes out of this, and maybe it's Travis Etienne. He can make me eat my words, and I'll go sit on the bench. I'll take my ass back.
You do need
as
to
of
get your
now.
ass back.
But as of now, I think that he needs to get his ass back and he needs to let Tank take over and be the number one guy and see what it looks like. And then for my good ass back, my ass back that we need you back. We need you back on the field. We need you back on this team. Not that he's leaving or anything, but Travon Walker.
Yeah.
First overall pick that, you know, people were kind of like, I don't know about this first round pick because he didn't have stats that backed up being that, but he had those measurables. He's fast. He's strong. He's quick. Fast and quick are different. And that's awesome to have.
Well, everybody said he was a little raw.
Yeah.
And that's what he was.
Absolutely. And he's proven that they made the right decision so far. I mean,
Wait,
10
hold
sacks
on.
in
They should
back-to-back
have took Aiden
seasons.
Hutchinson, dude. Let's be real.
10 sacks back-to-back is not a bad thing, though. You know, Aiden Hutchinson might not have done as good because I think Travon Walker is a little bit more suited for kind of the where they are on this defense. I think Aiden Hutchinson's a great player. I'm not saying that he's worse than Travon Walker because I love Aiden Hutchinson.
Whoa.
I think he's way better. But I'm just saying that I think that the fit is good. He fits well next to Josh Allen. And not that Aiden Hutchinson wouldn't have, but I don't think this was a bad pick. I don't think that picking him over Aiden Hutchinson was bad.
I mean, they probably should have took him over. I mean, I'm just saying.
Maybe. But
how many sacks? You know, how many sacks? He had 10, right?
10.5 this year, 10 last year.
Okay, yeah. So Aiden Hutchinson, with his like 4 games that he played, might have been 5. All right, he had 8 sacks. He was. I mean, but Aiden Hutchinson was. He was literally, if he played all year, he was going to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, for sure. So I was trying to pull up the stats and see like where they are career wise.
But yeah, I mean, Hutchinson had 11 last year.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, you know, definitely better production by Aiden Hutchinson. Again, I just think that
he's playing on a worse. Like our defensive line is not better than Jacksonville's. I don't think. Maybe.
I mean,
our edge rushers are not as good. We have Aiden Hutchinson. We don't have nobody. But we have fucking Marcus Davenport. Okay, like he played like 2 games.
Yeah.
So like really, the Jaguars have better edges for sure right now.
Yeah,
as a whole. So, but I mean, he was still a great pick. He's gonna be a great player. I don't want to take nothing from that. You know, take nothing from that from the Jags. I just like to, you know. Poke a little
I know you
bit,
like your guys.
You know, gotta poke a little bit, but I appreciate it. I'm thankful for it. So
yeah,
hey, Jag fans, thank you. I really appreciate it. That's our Michigan boy anyway. That's who we wanted. So
yeah.
But well, you got a hell of a player.
I don't know. I mean, you guys had what? Aleem McNeil was the 9th rated D lineman. DJ Reader was the 30th, and then Aiden Hutchinson was the 1st. So the 2 people helping him out were 9th and 36th. And then, I mean, Marcus Davenport was garbage. He is not even ranked. And then the D line for Jacksonville, you had 14 with Hines Allen, 47th with Walker, but the 2 guys in the middle, 178th. That's a pretty big drop off. So I don't know. I think it's pretty similar. You guys also have better players behind Aiden Hutchinson too, though. You know, like Anzalone, Jack Campbell.
We'll talk about the Lions when we get there. All right, you know.
I know, but you know, you brought it up that they didn't have that he has not as much help, and I don't know. I think he
does it on that D line.
Yeah, but everywhere else he does too, though. Like the cornerbacks are better, the safeties are better.
Yeah, but we got good run stuffers. We're not gonna have pass rushers, if that makes sense. Like Aleem McNeil and DJ Reader are run stuffers.
Yeah,
Aleem McNeil gets to the quarterback more than DJ Reader, but that's Aleem McNeil's kind of a hybrid. But like other than that, getting to the passer, there's nobody. So that you got one, you know, you got Aiden Hutchinson on one side, nobody on the other side, and you know they're just gonna double team Hutch. So he's getting double teamed pretty much every play, and he's over here just dominating.
Fair enough.
But yeah,
but I mean, sorry for the little Lions tangent, guys, but you know we love our team, so we're gonna it's gonna happen. So,
but anyway, y'all got a great player. I think, you know.
Yeah,
I think we're
Travon Walker, get your ass back, buddy. Get your ass back on the field for this team. Keep doing what you're doing. Let's see another year of 10 plus sacks, man. I'd love to see it.
Getting better
let's
every
keep
year.
that going. Yep. So, you know, with that kind of wraps up our episode here. If there's anything else that we missed, let us know. As you can see on the bottom here, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're everywhere.
Yeah,
so come let us know what you think.
The whole 9. Just like everything, okay?
like it all.
Hey, comment. I want some comments, damn it. Can somebody please comment? I really would like to have a conversation with somebody besides the commish.
Besides the commish, yes, sir.
All right. But hey, get your ass back because we're going over to the Las Vegas Raiders next.
Las Vegas Raiders. Here they come. All right, guys. We'll take it easy. And we'll see you next time.
All right, y'all. Have a good one.
Later.